welcome to the Mega Podcast, where we delve into the inspiring stories of entrepreneurs, motivational coaches, and business leaders. Join us as we hear about their journey to success and the challenges they faced along the way. We'll uncover their secrets to perseverance and determination and gain valuable insights into what it takes to reach your goals. The journey may not be beautiful, but it is always purposeful. So sit back, relax, and be ready to be inspired by those who have dared to dream big and make it a reality. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a brand new Mega Podcast, the A.M.P. That's right. Here we're going to have another wonderful guest, an amazing guest, totally inspirational guest that has, turned tragedy into something big and personal. And definitely I have some questions because I've had loss along the lines as well, in which she speaks about. She is an author and the founder of 100 Acts of Love. And she's here to bring the love and show that positivity, the one and the only Kim. Hey, Ma! How you doing?
Thank you so much, Al. That is a great introduction. I feel like all energized and ready to go.
That's what it is. Because I see you managing employees, death or cancer. Right here, we're talking about living, baby. You know what I mean? How to get over that and be able to persevere. So, Kim, thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us, that journey and what you're doing with 100 Acts of Love. So, first off, so people just know, where you come from, where your vibe come from.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm the daughter of New Yorkers, Queens and Harlem. So they moved out of the city to because they decided that they prefer to pay taxes and send us to a really nice school than to live in the city. So yeah, I live in LA right now. I have 3 semi-adult children. I guess they really are 25, 23, and soon to be 21. But my story starts with my husband's cancer. We were a organic eating, healthy vibing kind of family. And one day he does not feel, it takes about 3 weeks. He does not feel well. And he was very much a man. It's like, I got it. I'll be fine. It'll be okay. Yeah. At that time, he was 40. He was 39. He was 39 when he was first diagnosed. Yep. So he finally talks to a doctor.
He's being a hard-headed man. Yeah. So how long was he being hard-headed? Because I know men are very hard-headed when it comes to that.
I have to admit, I have to add into that hard-headedness because he was complaining about not being able to breathe. He went out for a run and came back and said, I can't breathe. And so I did what every good wife does. I was like, here, take some of my asthma medicine. So I was part of the problem. I got to say I was part of the problem. So our doctor said, our regular doctor said, hey, why don't you go check yourself, go to see another doctor. And she said, in the meantime, go get some x-rays. And we were like, we don't want to clog up the system. That's what we really were thinking. So we go to the doctor. He says, have you had x-rays done? My husband says no. And the thing is, we usually don't go to the doctor together. That wasn't what we were doing, what we did, but something in both of us said we need to be together at this time. The doctor takes x-rays, comes back into the room, and it's like a freaking TV show. He laces his fingers. He sits down across from us. And we're in the exam room, puts his hands on the exam table and says, I think you have cancer. And we were like, wait, what? Like, what? Like, no, not him, not. And then he proceeded to show us the x-ray, and the x-ray was of his chest. And he had all these tiny white spots all over it. And that's why he was having trouble breathing. The doctor was so concerned that he wanted us to start the process immediately.
Was he even a smoker or anything like that?
No, he was not a smoker. It was not even lung cancer. It was large B-cell lymphoma. And so I'm sure some of your audience members have heard the term metastasized. And that means that it's spread from the original area to other parts of the body. And that's bad. When your cancer goes to other parts of the body, that's bad. And by the time we got a diagnosis, he was stage 4 cancer. It was a weird cancer because they thought at first it was testicular cancer. It was not. So they did a surgery, removed the tumor from one of his testes. They couldn't even wait for him to heal. So 2 days later, they started chemo. Because it was starting to, it was shutting down his lungs. So we're going to go on this roller coaster ride, and everyone, we have an incredible community. our kids are in preschool and elementary school at the time, and everyone keeps coming up to us and saying, if you need anything, let me know. And at first I felt so loved because it felt so helpful. But then I realized that phrase was one of the worst things you can say to somebody who's in crisis. And I'm going to tell you why, and then we can talk a little bit more about my story. So the reason why is because I think, I don't know if you're married or not, but let's say you get married, or
Mhm.
you just bought a brand new car, you're really excited, and you go and you have lunch with people who all know about this brand new car, and no one says anything to you. How do you feel?
Mm. Yeah.
Like, you don't feel so good. You don't feel heard. You don't feel like no one cares. You feel disconnected. You're kinda pissed off. You feel like, "Never
Kind
going
of
to
a
lunch with
bunch
these
of
people
haters.
again." Yeah, exactly, hate us. Exactly, exactly. And it all comes because no one acknowledged the good feeling that you were having, and no one acknowledged the good thing that was happening in your life. Well, the same thing happens when we have something really bad happening. We really need people to witness us. We need people to say, "I'm so sorry this is happening." So that phrase, "If you need anything, let me know," doesn't do that. The second reason it's not helpful is, what's anything?" Like, really, what's anything? I don't know you. When you say anything, did that mean you were gonna come and pick up my vomiting toddler at preschool? Or did that mean you would be happy to drop off a six-pack and hang out with Art? Right?
There
What
you
is
go.
anything? It's too big a term to even encompass it. The third reason it's not helpful is, I don't know about you, but I'm not particularly good at asking for help. I'm not like,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah.
y'all, I need some help with this. I can't do it anymore." Like,
Hey.
and most people aren't. So now you're asking this person who is already stressed out to the max. Like, their
Mhm.
life has been turned upside down. The left wall has become the floor, the window is on the wrong side of the building, everything. And now you're asking them to reach out to you to
Yeah.
ask you to do something that you may not even have meant when you said anything, and it's just
Yeah.
not gonna happen. So it's never a good phrase to use. What you can use instead is, 1, acknowledge, "I'm so sorry this is happening to you. I feel speechless. I feel helpless. I wanna help." And then you can offer something specific and offer more than once. So find something. We all have helping superpowers, things we're good at, things we like doing. We don't even think any much about it because it's so easy for us. That thing that you like to do, it could be cleaning the kitchen, washing the car, taking care of the car, taking care of kids. It could be doing an Excel spreadsheet, right? Maybe that's what your thing is. You really like that kind of stuff. Those things that you have that are really easy for you are things that can really help the person who's dealing with this tragedy in their life. So I say offer that and offer more than once. So that's sort of my kickoff
Okay.
to the journey. Um, so my husband beats the cancer, and there's no sort of, I know before my husband got sick, I thought that, "Oh, after you win cancer, you're like new lease on life. I feel really good. This is great." And
Yeah.
there really wasn't. There was that moment of being very grateful, and then there was the moment for nights on months. We would look we would be in bed together, and we'd look at each other, and we would be like, "What the hell just happened?" Like, our
Yeah.
lives were completely turned upside down, and, like any tragedy, it brings out the best in a partnership, and it also brings out the worst in a partnership. So we had to start working on our marriage again. We had to start co-parenting again. We had to really kind of understand, is this something that we want to continue doing? I mean, it was a lot of questioning.
Wow.
We got back on our feet. We started to build our lives back together. We decided we did like each other and that we would stay together.
And how long was that process in deciding that?
That's actually a really good question. It took us about 9 months, almost a year to really settle in.
To
Um,
reconcile and okay,
yeah, to reconcile. I
get
was
back
I was
on the algorithm.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I was really mad at him for getting cancer, and I know it doesn't make any sense, but I was really mad at him. I was mad that he put me in this position where I felt so vulnerable and terrified. I mean, it wasn't his fault, but it took me a while to work through that anger and that resentment, and he felt really guilty. He felt really guilty and he felt shame, that he was so sick that he couldn't help around the house, that he couldn't be a parent, that he couldn't work. So he had, that his, let's be honest. I mean, losing a testicle is not a very fun, like, there's not men lining up to be like, yeah, me, his manlyhood was, he was questioning his manlyhood. He was questioning his ability as a, as a man, as a father, as a provider. So it took us a bit to get back together. And then we did. And then, less than 2 years later, the cancer came back, and
Oh.
4 months after the diagnosis,
But
he
when it
died.
came back, were you much more promptly aware of what was going on?
I wish. No, it
Again,
came
no.
back.
Once
It
again, no.
Yeah, once again, no, he kind of, looking back at photos, we can see that he was losing weight, but at the time, I just wasn't aware. And he was either in denial or he wasn't aware, because his clothes must have been getting thin, must have been getting loose on him.
Yeah, I'm
But when
sure.
we caught it again, it went from, his not feeling great, in November, to all over his chest again in December, to the point where we took him to the ER, because he was struggling breathing. That happened to be because it was a blood clot, because he'd been sitting for so many days because he wasn't feeling well. But then they discovered the cancer. And then 4 months after that, he died. His body
Oh my God.
couldn't handle it.
Wow. I'm
Um,
so sorry. My goodness.
yeah. Yeah, it was not, I, don't recommend the journey if you can avoid it, but you can't, death is
Yeah.
out there and we lose people we love, and it is tragic and difficult and a quagmire. And it is also one of the moments where it was some of the most beautiful moments in my life. Watching people come in and support myself and my kids. And people did, my neighbor one day, neighbor Nate. Nate walked up the street and he said, "Hey, when was the last time the oil was changed in your car?" And that was what we called a man job in our house. As stereotypical as it is, that was, I can change oil, I
It
know how
is
to
what it
do it.
is. Yeah, I
But it
see.
was his, yeah, it was his job. And I looked at Nate and I was like, I couldn't even tell you if the light had changed, like, from
Yeah.
green to yellow to red. And he said, "I tell you what, leave the keys in the mailbox, text me tomorrow. I'll come up, I'll grab the car, I'll take care of it for you."
Oh,
And so I do that, and he leaves the keys back. He says, "Car's all done." And then I can't remember if it's I think it was the day after. I go out with the kids. I go to the car and I kind of stop and look at it suddenly, and I start to kind of tear up, but I'm questioning my sanity. And then I get in the car and I turn it on and I start to just burst out crying. And it's because Nate had not only changed the oil in the car, he had washed it inside and out, and he had filled it with gas. And it
oh,
was just one of those simple little things. Had I even realized I was close to being out of gas, I wouldn't have called anybody, because it felt so stupid to, like, "Hey, I'm home. I'm sort of functioning, but can you get gas in my car?" Like, that just feels so that's, we're Americans. We're about that independence.
yeah.
And so he did this beautiful, amazing gesture. He took it upon himself. He took care of it financially, which not everyone can do, but still, it's a great thing to be able to do. Um, and he just relieved in one, 2-hour period, he relieved a load of stress off of me. Um, so I started to write this book at about that time, because I realized that, where I am right now in my life, my foundation was wrecked, right? My foundation had all sorts of cracks and holes and crevices in it from the cancer, and from the cancer the second time, and from his death.
Were the kids
So
at home, during that time as well?
yeah, the kids, when he died, the kids were 12, 9, and 7. So
Oh,
they were young.
young. My
Yeah. Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah. It is. It was a really, can I swear?
Yes, yes. It's
It
an
was really
adult show.
shitty. It was a really shitty experience,
Yeah, I'm
you
sure.
know? Um,
It sounds like
but
it. I wouldn't want to go through that. I mean, I was married and I went through something where she had blood clot and almost lost a coma and all that. And that was very, very, very scary. Very
yeah.
scary. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm sorry
I was
yeah.
painful. I was blubbering like a little baby. Like, oh my God, what
Yes.
do you do? Because you feel powerless. Like,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That feeling suck.
It
Like, I
does.
want to do something, but I can't
Yes.
because I don't know what the hell
Exactly.
to do.
Exactly, exactly. So that's sort of why I wrote the book, because there's so many. I realized that so many of our friends stepped in, and some of our friends who we thought would step in took a backseat. They like took 15 steps back. And what I realized is most of the time people do want to help, but they don't know what to say and they don't know what to do. And so I wrote the book for everybody, for those people, because there's a lot of books out there. If you have cancer, there's books, there's blogs, there's TV shows. It does, there's a place for you to be. If you are grieving, there's a place for you to be. But when you're that person who wants to help, right? If one in five, if one in two of us is going to get cancer, what's the other one person who doesn't have cancer going to do to support? And so that's where this came from. I wanted to give people the tools to be able to stand in and to say, I can do this thing. Because while you do feel powerless when you're dealing with your friend's loss or cancer or whatever it is that they're dealing with, you're not as powerless as you think. And, that story about Nate happened in 2009. I am still telling it and I still tell it often because it's so powerful. And I want people to know that when you show up, that foundation crack that I talked about, people came in and they just kind of poured cement and they poured cement with their actions, with the things that they did that were small and powerful and really helpful. And I want people to have those tools so that they feel like they're not as powerless as they are and that they can love up on the person who needs to be loved up on. Because honestly, I'm not here because I'm like strong or brave or courageous or any of that stuff. I am here for two reasons. One, because I put one pinky toe in front of the other, which is all I could manage at the time. And because of all the people who came in and did all these things and just said, we love you. Here's a lasagna. It's an act of love. We're picking the kids up after school and you're not getting them
Give me
back till
lasagna anytime. That's love
yeah.
for me.
Do you know what though? My kids, we got so much lasagna that my kids, after the third month after he died, they were like, no more lasagna. We're done. We don't want lasagna again, because that's what a lot of people brought us. So,
Yeah.
okay, I think I've done enough talking. I hope you have some questions.
Well, of course, because I mean, you've gone through stuff, but I want to talk about this website too.
Oh,
Because
thank
so
you.
yeah, so talk. Writing that book, how did I write in the book, lead you on the journey, and then creating this website? I mean, how do you help companies, and their teams deal with like grief and depression and sadness within an office space as well? Because I myself also, when my comic crusaders was young, I had a comic crusader from Ireland that we met. We reviewed his book. We became good friends. He offered to create content for me. We connected. He became a great, wonderful crusader and friend. And then he got sick
Oh,
and was really bad at one point. And he texted me one day, DMs me, like, Al, doctor said I'm dying. I just want to say I love you very much. Thank you for everything.
oh,
And he's like, what the hell are you talking about,
oh,
So 2 weeks later, he had brought on another team member to the family. And then she told me, hey, Al, I got horrible news.
oh,
From 2 weeks from that message, let me tell you, like again, I was crying like that was my first
oh.
crusader I lost. So I know, cancer is horrible. I hate cancer. We've lost great, family members, amazing artists to this horrible disease.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you
Yeah,
deal with it?
and I think what happened was I'm an HR leader, and so the two kind of wed together, because just like outside in the real world, people don't know what to say or what to do. Managers also don't know what to say or what to do. Team members don't know what to say or what to do. And the ramifications of them not speaking to it, of them not managing it well, are, let's just talk basic business, lower productivity, less engagement. But the real ramifications is your team is not connected and they're not collaborating well. And so, managers miss an opportunity. Look, we're all looking for connection right now. We all want to feel like we're counted. We want to feel like the work that we do really matters. And when there's a crisis on the team, whether it's, a grieving employee, an employee with cancer, or even a team member death, it's an incredible opportunity for managers to step in and to say, okay, let's lead the way with heart and let's figure out what we can do. And unfortunately, most managers don't have that skill. It's not something that, the American Management Association does not
Mhm.
have that as part of their thing that you can learn as a manager.
But they
And
should.
yes, AMA, if you're listening, I'm here. Just want to let you
Yes.
know I'm
I mean, look
here.
at the website. It's right here too. I mean, they're gonna
Yes.
start helping right here,
Yep. Yep.
right?
What are
The
you going
mission,
to do? Yeah.
problem.
And my
Yeah.
yes, my mission is to serve, to make sure that a million people, have the ability to understand how to support an employee dealing with whatever crisis that they're dealing with by educating 80,000 managers. What did I say? It's eight. Yeah, it's 80,000
80,000.
managers. So yeah, that's my mission. I really want managers to know what to do and what to say. And we're talking about the ability to manage a team in a way that is practical and brings joy and allows the manager to really understand what people are doing. Thank you so much for showing all this. I really appreciate you, Al. It's really sweet.
No, 'cause we gotta show this. This is important stuff because again, we went through grief as a team. Losing a
Yeah.
team member. So I
Yeah.
understand the importance of that. We spoke about it. We were sad. We were there for one another because luckily enough, I have a very positive team.
Yeah.
And so we were definitely there to encourage one another to get better and everything will be well. 'Cause that's what God would want.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm so glad that you were able to do that because that's not something that a lot of managers know how to do. And this is not easy stuff. Like, right? I mean,
no.
this is not like, "Oh, hey, let's talk about this." This takes courage. Man, I don't want to as a manager, I don't want to talk to my team about loss. I don't want to cry in front of my team. I don't want to feel like I don't know what to do or what to say.
Or
So,
even know how to act with someone that's working, for example, with cancer. As you said,
exactly.
80% of those diagnosed. No, like Chadwick Boseman, I guess no one knew except a very close person, but we didn't know. And he
Yeah.
worked through it, and next thing you know, it's like, what do you mean he had cancer?
Exactly. Well, a lot of people, there's recently this big push with a hashtag on LinkedIn called Working with Cancer. And it was started because a CEO of the third largest ad and PR agency in the world was diagnosed with cancer, shared his diagnosis with the board, with the team, with everybody. And he got a ton of emails from people who said, I have cancer, but I haven't told my boss because I'm
Boss.
scared.
Wow.
Right? So you might have someone working with you, not you, Al, but you might someone, who's listening, you might have someone working with you right now who's dealing with cancer. They're terrified they're going to lose their job. They're terrified of the stereotypes that we have around cancer. So we have the
Yeah.
stereotypes that someone with cancer is weak, they're going to lose their hair, they're going to be really thin, they're not going to be able to do their
Cooties,
job.
right?
Cooties, exactly.
Childish
Thank
things.
you. Yes, exactly. Some people still maybe they know that cancer isn't contagious, but they still feel like, "Ooh,"
Yeah.
as the employee with cancer, I don't wanna hear someone questioning the food I ate, right? That happens a lot. People are like, "Well, what has your diet been?" "Oh, yeah, you probably shouldn't have eaten that meat." Like, that's not
Like,
I don't
shut the.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Fingers flying, fingers flying.
you
So there's a
know?
lot of reasons, but they probably have confided in one other person on that team. And
Yeah.
now that person's carrying that burden and the manager's treating the employee with cancer like crap because the manager doesn't know. So there's so much here. There's so much, a richness here, so much
So,
opportunity here. And especially now when employees, like we all know, employees don't quit. 80, I think it's something like 79% of the employees who leave their jobs, they leave because of their manager. So we're
mm,
talking about,
oh, wow.
if you're not talking to your employee, if you're not in touch with your team, you're raising you're decreasing your retention rate, right? If you're not talking to your employees and connecting with them, they're probably looking for another job. And I know that people are afraid of not having enough work, but there are more jobs out there than there are people. So
Mhm.
so if you're not talking to your employees, you're not getting the best work out of them. Like employees love to work for managers who care about them, and they put in something called discretionary effort, which is effort beyond what they would normally put into a job. And that discretionary effort makes you, the manager, look really good and gets your team working productively together. So there's a bunch of missed opportunities when managers don't know what to say or what to do. And, I cannot tell you how many stories I've heard of managers who completely mismanage it. And I hear these stories from employees who are no longer with the organizations, who
Uh,
who I think it's something like 80% of them left within a year and a half of their day that they felt better.
wow.
So, this turnover rate is something that really needs to be considered. And it doesn't take a lot to connect. It just takes consistency, understanding. It takes being able to do an assessment, making sure that you've checked in with yourself about your thoughts and feelings and what your stereotypes around what is a person grieving supposed to be like? What do you think they're like? And what are they really like? So, understanding that, taking really thoughtful action, and then reflecting and starting over again.
Oh, definitely. So this is what we have you for here, Kim. So you could go into their companies and show them how to handle their business the right way when it comes to that, and making sure that they have a nice, passionate, well managed workplace where someone
Y
feels comfortable no matter what. So that's why we have you. I mean,
Yes,
and
sir.
they
Thank
could
you.
also buy this book too, right? Simply
Yes,
enough
yes,
as
they
well, because
can.
you have this book that everybody could buy at the website that I've been showing off, 100actsoflove.com, all right? And if you want this book, you got to go to 100 acts of love, the number 100, that is, all right? actsoflove.com/shop, all right? And start educating yourselves, folks. And once you dive into the book, you're going to want to hire Kim. Like, I need more of this.
Al, thank you. And keep in mind, I designed the book so everyone can just grab it, open it up, read a tip, and go do it. There's not long paragraphs in there and bullet points. It's like a page, a tip, done. Move forward. A page, a tip, done. Move forward. So there's a lot there,
See,
and it's
see
really easy to access.
100 good deeds for you guys for 100 days. Look at that. You could
Yep.
say, see, for at least almost one third of the year, you could say you did wonderful things. So Santa may put you on the good list, you know?
I
All
love that
right.
idea. All right.
You know? Yeah, that's all
That's
they
a
gotta
great.
do. So
Yep.
that's what they gotta do. So they will get this as a soft cover, as an ebook, right? So
Yes.
so do you sign the soft cover too?
If you email me separately, you can leave a message on the website, and if you would like it signed, I'm absolutely
Hey.
happy to sign it. Absolutely.
Awesome. And what if a company wants your services? How will they communicate with you? Do they come to your website here? They go to the about? What are we doing?
Yep, yep, they can go to that's the picture of my husband, and that's my daughter. We only had 1
Uh,
girl. We have 2 boys and 1 girl. That's a picture
salute.
of us, before when we were dating, our marriage. Yeah, so you can read the whole story there.
Oh wow, homie was tall, boy.
Yeah, 6'6". Yes, he was.
Wow, 6'6".
6'6".
Wow.
Yep, he was a tall man. Tall man. Yep.
Wow.
Yep, yep. But the best
Uh,
way to reach out to me is they can reach me at info@100 acts of love. The other option is they can reach out to me at LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram at 100 acts of love. LinkedIn, there it is, Kim T. Hamer. And yeah, so those are the best places to reach me. I'm also on Facebook as well. But those are, and every Thursday I do a LinkedIn Live, and I'm also starting to do LinkedIn audios, which means an event will be sent out. So you'll get notifications if you have your LinkedIn notifications on and you're following me, and you can pop on these audios and ask me questions. And you can also pop on
oh,
LinkedIn Lives and, type in a question. And, so because sometimes it's hard, right? You don't know what to say. You want to, like, I've had questions. People say, hey, what do I say? And I answer them live right there so that they feel comfortable and they're armed with the tools to go in and support, their employee, their colleague, their friend.
is there a particular time that you go on these Thursdays on
That
LinkedIn?
is a great question. Thank you, Al. I go on to 12 p.m. Pacific time. So that's 3 p.m. Eastern time.
There we go. Folks, you heard that? You gotta tune in. That's LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn too. When they do these joints and you can really communicate. And 3 little emojis if you like to. If you guys into that, all right.
Yep. Yep.
But
You
it's real
like it,
talk,
like
and
something.
yeah, and I love the fact again with the audience too. Like as you say, you can really interact. So I know a lot of us have gone through pain and grief, and again have
Yeah.
had loss or have someone going through that, unfortunately. So again, look. You have Thursdays. I mean, when you do the audio, you said again?
I'm gonna start doing the audio probably at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So that's
Ooh,
12 p.m. Eastern time. So during
look at that.
lunchtime, y'all.
Yeah,
Lunchtime if
some
you're on the East
lunchtime
Coast.
chats. Right? Grab your
Mm-hmm.
sandwich and go ask some
Mm-hmm.
questions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's all you gotta do. Listen in and learn. For Kim Hamer is amazing. Visit the website again. 100, the number 100 acts of love. The links are below. All right. So just click away. All right. Like George Justin, make them fingers start throbbing because you can't. You're going all over the place. Right? Let's have some fun and celebrate amazing people like him that are sharing, their journey that turned something that was tragic into something positive to teach others, So bringing that energy, bringing that love. So thank you for
Bringing the
your act of
love.
love onto the world.
Oh, Al, thank you. And thank you for what you do. This is so sweet. I'm so honored by, everything that you're doing and the way that you're doing it. It's really it's inspiring. It's
Well,
very
it's
inspiring.
about a celebration. No, you're the inspiring one. It's about a celebration of your journey and again how you help. And thank you. And I'm the one that's blessed to be able to share this journey, with
Oh,
you, this story. So, folks, you know what it is, right? The links are below. Follow the Al Mega podcast everywhere. You can also check out my extended family if you're into my comic book goodness over at comiccrusaders.com and my extended family at undercovercapes.com as well. Thank you, everybody. Much love. Hasta la próxima. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Al Mega Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed listening to the insights and stories from our guests. Remember, success is a journey, not a destination. And every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goals. Don't give up on your dreams and keep pushing forward. Until next time, thank you for tuning in and stay motivated.